Hi there, my name's Anna and welcome back to my art channel. So in today's video I want to talk to you about colored pencils, and this time more specifically about the two main brands that I have, and that are the Prismacolor Premier colored pencils, can you see? And the Farber Castelle Polychromos. This is actually empty because all of those colors are in here now. So I'm no expert on colored pencils. I've been using them since a bit over half a year now. Yeah, but I've gathered some experience. I've done a couple of drawings and I have two different colored pencil brands, and I'm just going to let you know what I think of both of them, my experience in using them, and their advantages and disadvantages, I guess. So first of all, I want to let you see some of the work I've done with colored pencils and which I've done with which colored pencils. I haven't actually used the Polychromos, no wait, I haven't used the Prismacolours on their own. I've just used them in addition to my Polychromos, because Polychromos, I can't speak, to my Polychromos, because those are the ones I had first of all, and really what I was looking for was a bit of a shortcut to make the Polychromos work more fast, I guess. Anyway, I'll show you what I've done so far, and yeah, we'll start with this one. This was my very first colored pencil drawing. I hope you can see it, and I was really pleased with the way it turned out. It's not perfect, of course, but it was my first colored pencil piece, and I just thought colored pencils were so difficult to use, and I couldn't imagine I would really enjoy them. But I asked for a set for my Christmas present, for just because I wanted to use them in addition to my markers, and I noticed that I actually really enjoy using them on their own. They are a really slow medium, which is not really to my liking, but it does mean that you can get really nice refined work because you're just forced to work so slowly. And I think this was probably my second or one of my early drawings in any case, also just using Polychromos. And yeah, both of them did take a while. With the part, I actually tried to use some mineral spirits to do some blending. I did not enjoy doing that because they were just so stinky, and anyway, I just had some kind of a turpentine kind of thing, and I did not enjoy using them. And the idea of having to have a well ventilated room, which I mean normally speaking you just don't. Yeah, with this one I used a little bit of a colourless blender, which I had from my marker set, and that helped me to do a little bit of blending. Yeah, this was all just using my Polychromos, and I was a little bit annoyed with it taking as long as it did. Then we have this piece, and for the white pencil in this piece I actually used from a different set. This isn't either of those sets, but I used my Derwent drawing Chinese white to do a lot of the blending, because the Polychromos aren't fantastic for blending really, and I don't like having to use a colourless blender or mineral spirits for blending. I would like to just be able to do everything with the coloured pencils, and I guess you can do burnishing with the Polychromos, and you build up your layers and then you start adding more pressure and start to burnish, kind of pressing the colours together, and then you can't add any more layers once you've done that. But it's a lot easier if you have a soft pencil to work with as well, one that's more wax based, just for the areas that you want to blend more quickly, I guess. And especially for the white, it's really good to have a white that will blend really nicely, that is very opaque, and that will just kind of push these colors into each other. And you can see that worked out really well, in my mind anyway, on these blossoms, or on this blossom. Yeah, and that's when I decided I wanted to get myself a set of more wax-based coloured pencils. And yeah, I just thought I'd get myself some Prismacolours because I had heard that they are a lot softer, and that I thought they could possibly speed up my drawing process. So that's what I did, and I used them for the first time in this piece. And I mostly used it for the background. I know there's not a ton of background, but I mean a background can just take forever with coloured pencils, and you don't want to be wasting so much time on the background, and still sometimes you just need it. Yeah, and I used them in some other areas as well, and they're really soft and they just lay down really quickly, and it was a very enjoyable process, really. Obviously they're not as good for detail because the Polychromos are much harder and can hold more of a tip, and yeah, they're just good for details, and the Prismacolor are good for blending. So it's not actually which one I prefer, I just think they're good to be used together. And I'm going to show you later on some demonstrations of me just laying down some colour on this toned coloured coloured paper, and then you can see what that looks like. And again, here I have a mixture of using both coloured pencils, and I do believe I used the Prismacolor more for the shark, and I just used the Polychromos for the first little bit of it, for the detail. And it's really nice to be able to finish a coloured pencil piece a little quicker and still have a nice result. The issue, I guess, with the wax-based coloured pencils is that they can kind of cause this kind of wax bloom, so that the paper will get a little bit glossy. I'm not sure if that's what I'm seeing on these pieces, due to the fact that I haven't actually worked with coloured pencils that long, but I do think that they do look a bit more shiny, but I don't think it disturbs me here. And just while we're at it, I'll show you some more. And I've always then, since I have both sets, I've been using both of them, and when I can, I do use the Polychromos. No, I mean the Prismacolor, because it's faster, but when I need detail, obviously I'm using the Polychromos. And here we have a cute little frog, and here a leopard, I think, clouded leopard baby. Turned out very cute. And in this last one I did use more of the Polychromos, because when you're doing fur you don't have to do as much blending, and you do want to have very fine, not brush strokes, pencil strokes, I guess. And in that case, I think for fur the Polychromos are better, and when you want to do a lot of blending, as say for a portrait, or if you're doing some petals, then the Prismacolours are probably better, and it's just great to have both of them, I think. So yeah, I do know that the Farber Castelle are meant to have a better quality. The light fastness is probably a lot better, so if you're wanting to sell your work, that is of importance. I don't know actually how light fast the Prismacolours are. It probably depends on the colour. But I think coloured pencils aren't as sensitive to light as, say, watercolour, for instance. And I guess mostly I have been using, when I was using the Prismacolours, I was mostly using colours like white and black, so I'm not overly concerned at this point. As to sharpening, I've heard a lot about the Prismacolours breaking very easily when you sharpen them, and the thing is, I can't actually tell you because I haven't had to sharpen them a lot. You're meant to keep a very fine point when you're using coloured pencils, so that you can really get that colour into the paper, and that you're not breaking the surface of the paper without actually getting the colour in between those, the texture of the paper. But with the softer pencils, it's not really an issue. You can add, when you're using a little bit of pressure, you can put it down a lot of coloured pencil, and you won't be having this, you don't have the grain of the paper showing through as much. So with the Polychromos, which do hold a better point, you have to make sure you have a good point on those. So what was I trying to say with that? Yeah, I haven't noticed these breaking any more than the Polychromos. I had to switch my sharpener in between because I was using a sharpener that I've had for years, and I guess since I was a child, and I assume the blade was not as fresh as it should have been, and I was having breakage with both kind of. And now that I'm using a new sharpener, this the one I'm using was in the Derwent, little tiny Derwent set. I just got, you know, a couple of colors just because I wanted the Chinese, Derwent drawing Chinese white. That's why I got the set, because that was the cheapest way to get it really, or the most efficient in any case. Yeah. Since I'm using a new sharpener, I haven't really had any more problems with with either of the colored pencils breaking. Yeah. So now I will let you see the colored pencils in use, I guess. So this here, you can see the black holds a really fine point, and you can do nice pencil strokes. Is that what you say? And these are the Polychromos. I'm going to write it down. And you can get a very nice dark black with this nice strong color saturation. And the thing is also, you can do a lot more layering with the Polychromos colors. I'm pressing fairly hard now just to show you the color coverage, but you can also work in really light layers. And of course, you always have to keep sharpening your pencil so it stays nice and sharp, depending on which effect you're going for. So, and now here we have the Prismacolor. It's not very nice and sharp at the moment, but it breaks as soon as I put it on the paper, just because it's a lot softer. And yes, I can, oh, there, it's breaking again. I can get some lines as well, but it's a lot more easy to get detail using the Polychromos. So whenever I'm using black, I'm most likely going to be using the Polychromos color. Also, I think I can get a better color coverage with the Polychromos black. So possibly I would use this for blending, but I don't usually have to blend with black. So I'm probably not going to use this color a ton. Okay, what are we going to look at next? I think some blues. I'm just going to take a light and a slightly darker blue with each. So you can't say anything with the Polychromos, you can get a lot of detail, and the colors are lovely. Okay, maybe I should have taken a darker color. And I do think you can blend them fairly well, but probably you'll need a lot more pressure to blend them into each other, which can be an issue for some people who get problems with their joints then. So, and of course you can use mediums like turpentine to help you with the blending. I just don't really enjoy doing that. Using the colourless blender is okay. There's not a lot of fuss there. You just take off the cap and do some blending. And I will use something like this mostly maybe in the background, and I have to make sure that I get it clean afterwards for when I'm working on my next color. So now we will do the same over here with the Prismacolors. So I start in light, getting a bit darker, and you can see these are very opaque, and you get a really nice color coverage. Okay, these colors are very far apart from one another. The others did match a little better. Let's see if I can get it blended anyway. Just using some pressure here. And yes, I can. You can see it does get a bit glossy or waxy when you add a lot, or when you use a lot of pressure here. So if that look disturbs you, then maybe that's not the right product for you. But you're able to get smooth blends really quickly, and I think that's just a great thing to have, especially for backgrounds. And well, I haven't actually done any portraits yet using colored pencils, but I do imagine that would be good for that too. Oh yeah, I forgot the white, very important. So let's say when it comes down to it, I probably would choose the Polychromos just because they're the higher quality product, and I'm the kind of person who does like detail. But I don't think that the white is really great. It's just not terribly opaque, and I mean the colors, the Polychromos in general, are not terribly opaque, but when you're using white and you want it to show, you know, it has to be. So yes, I can get fine detail, but and I can blend with it too. Yes, I can, but it's just not great. I mean, I have used it a lot anyway because you can see how large it is, but usually I think I would usually use this here, the Derwent Drawing Chinese White, because that is just really nice and bright and opaque, and I can just use that to blend other colors. And if I'm just using my Polychromos and I need something to blend with, then I will be using this. And yes, it has seen much love. It's nearly gone. You can really tell with colored pencils which ones you're using a lot. Yeah, and now the white of the Prismacolors, and this is also very soft white, and I'd say it's between, is it between the Derwent Drawing and the Polychromos. I'd say maybe it's nearly as opaque as the Derwent Drawing Chinese White, but I don't find it as suitable for blending for some reason. So let's say I wanted a light blue, and I wanted this all blended. I'm just adding a light layer of Polychromos blue here, and now I'm using the two softer waxier whites. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see the difference now, but that's just my user experience. I prefer this one for blending. But if you don't have this, you can definitely use this. And yeah, with these softer ones, I don't find you have to sharpen them all the time. And you'd go crazy if you had to sharpen them all the time. You can use them a lot further down, you know. Yeah. Yeah, what I wanted to also show you brown and red, so I'll show you some brown here. Oh, now this one actually broke as well, the tip of it. Why is that happening? Well, but you can still see nice fine lines. Didn't I have a second brown here? Oh yeah, a dark brown. So these kind of colors obviously you'd be using a lot if you're doing wildlife portraits. If you're drawing a lot of animals and fur, that's very suitable there. And with the same with the Prismacolor. You can definitely use these for fur as well, but they won't hold the tip as long. It's doing all right now. Blend it into each other. It's hard to say really when you're just doing kind of color swatches like this, but when you're doing a full portrait or well a full drawing, it's definitely faster to get smooth blends using the softer colored pencils, I can tell you. And last of all, just because I also enjoy drawing flowers, I thought we'd do some reds. And I'm using a relatively light hand here, and you can see the grain of the paper showing through. So you would usually not stop at this stage. You will probably add more layers until you don't see any grain of the paper left. And you don't have to use solvents to get that effect with the Polychromos. It's probably faster, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It's just going to take you a lot longer. And or I mean, if it's something that's lighter, that's a pink petal or nearly going into white, of course you can use a softer wax-based pencil to help you along. And there you've got a nice pink and a blended surface. So don't have the exact same colors over here, and yes, you will notice more of the tip breaking, statistically speaking, on the right hand side with the Prismacolours. That's just going to happen, and that might be frustrating if you're trying to do fine detail, and it might just be less of a problem if you're not. So I'd suggest to use them in combination and just see how easy it is to get this, you know, this matte flat finish. Well, flat is relative, but you know, that was just so much easier. And I can use the white to get a pink color, and it's not showing terribly well on the area where I've pushed relatively hard because there's nothing to stick to anymore, because I've already flattened the surface of the paper with this really waxy color. So that's also something you have to take into account. You can't do a lot of layering with these. So layering and detail would be these, and fast blending and really nice intense colors. Well, I mean, they both have intense colors, would be the Prismacolours. Yeah. So I hope this was helpful for you. I might also blend in a few clips of me actually drawing maybe the eagle. I think I have some clips that I filmed for TikTok. Might add them in here. Anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and remember to give me a thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel. I'm a bit late in the video to mention that, so probably nobody's listening anymore, but if somebody is, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, hopefully a nice one, and I hope to see you again soon in one of my next videos. So take care and bye bye.